Welcome to the FNI podcast featuring Beatrice Newman and Peter Tsang, presented by NIF Global Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad. We have the director of NIF Global Gandhinagar with us here. Hi, Vishal Makwana, sir.
Hello, Saloni. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Yes. So he is a fashion educationist and he has been serving in the fashion industry for the last 16 years.
Thank you. So, I'm just introducing the Beatrice and Peter.
Yes.
So, Beatrice, she is having a more than 13 years of experience.
Okay.
She has her own brand. The name is Korleki.
Okay.
She is specialized in the knitwear,
Knitwear.
crochet, and macrame. So I
Okay.
just forgot that one, but
I'm
yeah,
testing
she,
him.
she is here for the 4 days workshop for the students, and today we just finished the workshop, and more than 16 plus garments the students made it of that.
Wow.
And the main part is that all the students are happy to be here to attend the workshops, and they made it some kind of incredible things.
Yeah.
And as well as the Beatrice is a head of department of University of East London.
Oh wow,
Now,
that's
according
amazing.
to the Peter is a owner of and founder of the Beyond Form.
Okay.
And it is based in UK, but he is having one of the branch in the Paris also.
All right.
And he, he was the faculty of London College of Fashion.
Okay.
And as well as he is, his company's main based is about the AI and technology. So he is, he just started the startup, and now he is the founder of the Beyond Form.
Okay.
And main part is that it's an incubator of the IFA also, partnership with the IFA.
Okay, that's
So,
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, welcome to India and most importantly, welcome to Gujarat.
Thank you.
I'd like to start off by asking you guys about your experience here. Like, how do you like India? Is it your first time visiting here?
Not our first time,
Okay.
but it is a cultural explosion, is all I
Yeah.
can say. And
Yeah.
Vishal's been a gracious host
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
far. We have just seen so many things. We've only been here for a few days already, but it's
Yeah.
intense, but we have seen a lot already.
All right.
Absolutely.
What
I
about
would
you?
mirror that. It has been a cultural explosion, but a good one. A lot of people are asking what's my take on it, but for me, I feel like I'm at home. So even though I was born and raised in the UK, my family come from West Africa. So the climate, the people, just how the way of life is, it's very, very familiar to me.
So, what's your first impression when you landed here? Like, the first impression?
My first impression is there's a beauty and an appreciation, I think, for quality and artisanal craftsmanship. You see it in practically everything in the
Everything, yeah.
buildings, etc. And so coming from a very cosmopolitan, very Western city, I think it's very refreshing to see and quite heartful as someone who does crochet and a lot of heritage craftsmanship in my brand. It's something that I greatly admire.
Yeah. So, have you guys tried any Gujarati food here yet?
So we've tried pani puri,
Yeah.
because everyone is obsessed with pani puri.
Absolutely. Who doesn't like pani puri? And have you tried pani puri?
I have tried pani puri.
Okay.
I was saying to Peter, if I had to describe it, I think it's lovely, but it's
Yeah.
just not something that I can get used to. The crunchiness and then the full-on liquid.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to put a whole thing,
Whole
in
thing
your
in the
mouth,
mouth
because it's
all
an
together.
interesting sensation. But it's lovely.
Yeah. So, what surprised you the most about like the country India as a whole, or Gujarat, because you guys have not been to any other cities? So, what surprised you the most?
What surprised me? Well, I think just how you've also mentioned it, that I haven't been to India very much, and in actual fact, the last time I came was in November, but I stayed a short time.
Yeah.
But all of the depictions of India from the Western world is always centered around Mumbai.
Yeah.
I've heard it's the city of
Yeah.
Bollywood, etc.
Yeah.
Someone that watches Bollywood movies as well since when I've grown up. So I think coming to Ahmedabad and actually seeing, in a way, the culture shift is slightly different. I think it's slightly more slower, but then really interesting to see that it also has its own distinct flavor, if you will.
Have you been to any heritage places here in
We went to
Ahmedabad?
Stepwell the other day.
Adalat Stepwell.
Adalat Stepwell, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Did you guys like it?
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, I'm taking over your questions. I think what I would say is before we left to visit, we did some research on the Stepwell and I found the story to just be very romantic and quite
Yeah,
beautiful.
it
But
is.
sorry.
No, because obviously we don't understand coming from the West that you have all of these beautiful heritage sites and just all of this beauty in
Hand carved,
general in India. And I always say to anybody, because obviously it's not my first time here, it's like, for anybody that hasn't been there, it is such a different world.
It is.
And I live in Paris,
Yeah.
in France, and it's just very different countries.
different countries.
And there's a lot of
So journey is
inspiration
not-
to take.
Yeah.
So journey is not over yet.
Yeah.
So tomorrow they are going to Patan,
Patan.
to see the Patola.
Patolas.
So they will see the Patola museums and everything, and as well as the day after tomorrow we are going for the Calico Museum, one of the heritage museum
You'll
in
love it.
India, and it's like a 4 to 5 hours time to see the culture
See
of
the
India
culture.
as well as.
Yeah. So you guys come from the UK fashion industry, right? So how is it different from Indian fashion industry?
Or do you want to take this one first?
You go first.
So I think being in the UK, and I wouldn't say just the UK, but it's just a very different beast on its own. When you think about the sort of 4 big capitals, the rest of the world is not necessarily added to that. But within those 4 big capitals is a very Western edge. The style, I would also say, is very much centered on either sort of tailoring or a very commercialized look. You step into India and the rest of the world, and there's color. There's a beauty and vibrancy in the fabrics that you choose as well that in actual fact is not necessarily very familiar or available as much in the West anymore. So you really get an appreciation of the textiles and how you develop clothes here.
Yeah.
And for me, it's what I really appreciated working with the NIF global students is that they really appreciate and understand heritage, craft, the fact that in their country they have so many beautiful, as Beatrice was saying, textiles to create from and create with, where when we see, for example, in the West, we don't really have that. Even in Paris, in France, where I'm from, it's a very different take, and the textiles are very completely different.
Yeah. So what are some global fashion trends according to you the students here should be aware about, the Indian students, I would say?
Go ahead.
I feel like it's a really difficult question because a lot of my research as an academic is that I think globalization in itself is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And because a lot of the space is taken up by the West, I always feel like there never seems to be a balance.
Yeah.
And so everyone seems to think if you're from India, if you're from Africa, you all kind of need to, globalization actually means how do you westernize fashion?
But I wanted to ask you that how do you think important it is for the students to have a global experience, to step into the fashion industry?
I think it's important for all students, not just Indian students. So I keep saying to my students in the UK or even in Europe, they need to travel to understand and see culture and way of life. Because in actual fact, when you're learning fashion education, wanting to develop your own business, it's actually important to understand your wider commercial viability and that not all of your customers may be living in the same country.
In the same country.
As a really good example, I live in the UK, but majority of my customers come from the US. And I also do have customers in western parts of Africa.
All right.
But if I didn't know, and I had never been there before, it becomes difficult for me
know.
to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the key word is awareness. As long as they have an awareness of what's happening around the world, that's going to give them different perspectives and allow them to put different lenses on their work. And then what we do at Beyond Form, working with fashion and technology, is to understand how is the industry modernizing itself. So for example, digital fashion, digital prototyping is going to be very important in their workflows as they go into their future careers.
Absolutely. And what do you think it takes for a student to go from local to global? Like, what do you think it would take for any student who has just stepped into the fashion industry from go to local to a global level? Any tips?
Go on, please.
Yeah. So I think going local to global, I think it's about understanding how do you do translation.
Yeah.
How can you translate your ideas, even if it's to go to work for a brand in India or maybe a brand outside of India? It's about how do you translate your ideas so that somebody can understand what you're trying to bring to life.
Yeah.
I always say to anybody that wants to work in fashion, my family comes from actually production in China, is that you need to step your foot in a factory, an artisan's house, to really understand the value of product.
Absolutely.
I don't think I have anything much to add to that. I would thoroughly agree with it. Again, a lot of my experience comes from building my own business, and being able to survive and thrive in a global market means really understanding the bigger aspects of running a business, but also the nuance of understanding culture and where your customers are.
All right, as Sir mentioned.
That's why our Prime Minister Modi sir said that. So I have some kind of a better thing for that. That Prime Minister Modi sir on the one press conference or some kind of that on that time, sir said to that, fiber to fabric, fabric to fashion, fashion to foreign. So that's why they say it, because we are not limited to India. We are in global now, right now, because our fabric to fashion, everything, we are in global. So India is now in global. I can say that.
So as Sir has mentioned, you guys have conducted a few sessions at NIF Global Gandhinagar. How was your overall experience working with the students, working with him in general?
I don't want to talk about Vishal. I'm joking. He was amazing. He has a phenomenal setup, school. Students are very, very lucky to have him as a director. His team are absolutely wonderful. And to be someone who came all the way from the UK for the first time to teach the students and get the support from his faculty, you can really see that they are passionate about fashion and learning. And I think, as he mentioned earlier, the proof is in the output. 4 days learning a technique that they've never seen before, and to produce the fashion show of actual finished garments was absolutely amazing.
Amazing, yes. Only and only just happened due between Beatrice and Peter, just because of only on them.
And what about you?
We were saying to Vishal, actually, maybe he underestimated his students, because Beatrice and I were pleasantly surprised the fact that, especially for the subjects that I was doing in fashion brand building, that they had, never had this type of class before. And they managed to create a collection, a product, a whole theme, within 3.5 days, less than 4 days actually.
That was,
hard.
I think, for me, the most impressive part to
Even
hear.
though, you know, there are more than 30 plus students, not 30, I think so, 50 plus students, they made their label in just 4 days' time.
That's fantastic.
They just make their domain, they just purchase the website, even though they started their label. And all the students who made their garment, they started with their label name and just introduced themselves about their brand name and everything. Then after they make the garments.
All right.
So this is the main part of that in a between 4 days workshop.
And I mean, don't take our word for it. You'll probably get to see a lot of the garments coming through, but it was also nice at the end for a lot of them coming to give, personally, myself and Peter, feedback that they've seen what they can do with just one thing. Can you imagine if they were to utilize a lot of the techniques that they already know within their own culture? And some of them were saying that they're going to develop and continue with the brands that they've built.
What did you guys observe about the students here? Were there any particular standouts which you'd like to point out about the students here at NIF Global?
So I think they did not know what to expect. We did not brief them. So I think they just basically just ran with it, and they engaged with us, and they were actually working in teams like a fashion company, and they were able to come together very, very quickly to create their collections. So I think that was interesting to see, to say the least.
What was something that, caught your eye?
I mean, I would agree with Peter. No one knew what to expect. I think we ran into this, I don't want to say blindly, but just with eyes open and willing to learn, which was really great to see from the students as well. So I think we were all just genuinely amazed, and a good shock, not necessarily that we didn't think they could do it, but a really great surprise at the end to see everything come together.
And how do you guys see Indian students competing on a global level? I mean, it's just a 4-day experience that you guys have, but you guys must have some idea that
It was, even though it was just a 4-day experience, sometimes it's the smallest thing that can
Things.
make something click in your mind,
Yeah.
and it will sort of be something you will remember that started that journey.
Yeah.
I know what it felt like when I was a student, and I will always remember maybe one lecture or one experience.
yeah.
So I can only hope that with the students that over 4 days, again, like I said, even with the feedback for myself and Peter and what they even had for NIF and their director, that they will go ahead and utilize and build something, absolutely phenomenal. And what I will finish off with saying before I'll pass on to Peter is when I started the class, and they repeated it back to me today, which was nice. When I started the class, I said to them, I don't think you know how lucky you are. And you keep looking at the West as the ideal, but I want you to look at what you have here and recognize that the West wishes that they could have what you have. So don't be complacent about your artisanal craft. Don't be complacent about your tradition and your heritage. I think you should take that, run with it, and build something. And that's how you would compete on a global scale.
And what do you think the students here should focus more on?
So just to echo what Beatrice just said, I think they were very good at making, and that is their advantage. That, for example, a student from elsewhere probably will not have, especially the ones that come from the UK or from France, because we just don't have that there. So it's not possible for them to experience or to develop that skill. Now, for the next step for the student is to understand, okay, I have this amazing skill where I know how to create beautiful textiles. How can I put that now into a brand? If I'm working with a fashion company, how can I, again, going back to my earlier point, translate that from, okay, making myself, artisan, but into a commercial setting? And I think that's where they're going to then be able to connect the dots together.
Absolutely. Very well said. So if I may ask you, what according to you defines a designer, a good designer in today's time?
I think what defines a good designer in today's time is actually a lot of conversation and discourse happening online at the moment. And I think it's about really understanding what you're bringing to the market. I had a student ask me or show me some designs that she had today, and her asking me, what do I think about it? And I'm saying it's not about what I think, because number one, I'm probably not your customer, and I could be very subjective to that idea. What you need to consider is who is your customer and what do they think, and how do you find that out? Well, it's about trial and error. You need to launch, you need to start. And sometimes also it's about starting with a singular product or minimal, as opposed to trying to always build out. We look at a lot of brands and businesses today, and we want to be the Gucci's, the Alexander McQueen's, etc. But we forget there's a lot of capital, money, and also a lot of experience and time that has gone into building those brands. If you're starting from scratch, I think it's really about developing your community. That's what sets apart designers that I think are going to make it tomorrow, is build your community, understand your audience and your network, and design for them.
Accordingly, yes.
So nowadays, the brand is not important. Whatever suits you, whatever likes you, that is the main thing.
Whatever the customer likes.
Yeah, I think for me, the role of the designer isn't what many fashion design students probably think. I would now call it, you are an orchestrator. If we look at the creative directors of the most famous brands in the world, they don't just design, they are orchestrating every part of the creative teams to come together to bring a specific vision to life. And when you have that vision and that ambition, and then understand how to use, as Beatrice was saying, a community, a network, different resources around you, and bring that to come together, is what's going to set you apart.
Absolutely. So what do you think? Creativity is something that you're born with, or something that you can develop, in your opinion?
So, this is a very big question.
I know.
I think some people have an innate sense of creativity, but also
you need to develop that.
Yeah, you need to hone it, you need to develop it. If you're not in the right environment, if you haven't been given the opportunities to bring that out, just very much like sport, for example, you will never be able to understand how to bring it to life. And then, yes, you can learn it at the same time.
What he said.
Okay, so what are the mistakes the designers usually tend to make in the initial stages? You guys have dealt with a lot of students in the career, so...
In the initial stages, I think every designer or student designer wants to go on a catwalk, and so they make a collection, and then they spend too much money
Yeah.
for an audience that doesn't exist for them yet, or that they don't know. And so by the end of it, I feel like that high, it falls down very quickly, because then like, what next?
What next? Exactly. So, any tips for the students? Like,
Yeah, and just to extend Beatrice's point there, you know, Beatrice and I, because I also had a fashion brand as well,
Yeah.
we have learned the hard way.
learned it the hard
We spent a lot of money.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, we have spent a lot of money bringing products to the market where we don't necessarily understand exactly who the customer is.
yeah.
So we always say, you know, when we're working with our startups at Beyond Form, if it's a fashion student as well, really take time to understand who your customer is. Incremental steps, and utilize what we call the feedback loop, and really take that feedback to, you know, then go to the next step.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you have any tips for the students to build their own unique personal style? Because nowadays, everything is on the internet. You search it on the Pinterest and it's like easily accessible. So what are your tips for the students to build their own personal unique style?
I think it's very easy in this day and age to want to do everything and anything.
Yeah.
But if you think about a lot of the companies that do exist and do things very well, are those who've decided to keep a focus. As time goes on, you can add more craft or development or ideas to your development. But your initial product, I think, should be something that you yourself have been able to develop. No one else has done before. It's looking at maybe customer reviews of brands or businesses that have very similar products. Learning what works, what doesn't work, as Peter mentioned, the feedback loop, and then doing it better.
Yeah.
If I have to use my brand as an example, I started with one crochet technique, and I've been able to build a large amount of product offering just using that. I haven't even begun to start developing and doing other things, but that at least has helped me develop and progress forward. So, you're wearing glasses now.
Yeah. So even Vishal sir has, you know, dealt with a lot of students over the course of years. So do you have any tips for your students?
So I have some questions for the Beatrice and Peter. Nowadays, ChatGPT and this kind of AI things, it is important for the students? What do you think about that?
So this is a very big topic that we will not cover everything in the podcast, but we get asked this question all the time. How do we use AI, ChatGPT, in the right way? Is it going to make all of our designs the same? Is it going to replace the designer, for example? We always say no. ChatGPT is a tool, and it's about how you want to use that technology. So yes, use ChatGPT, but use it in a way that is ethical.
Absolutely.
And in a way that just for inspiration. But then ChatGPT still can't understand emotions. It can't understand creativity, like you were saying earlier. It can't understand, you know, how to translate that inspiration. Yes, the students that are going to fail are the ones that just copy and paste from ChatGPT. The ones that use it effectively are the ones that can translate what ChatGPT says or any other platform. So for example, in the workshop, we use T-Fashion to understand the trends. Use that as a reference point, but then put your perspective on it. Put your lens on it as a designer.
So I have seen on a morning time that from two students that you use the T-Fashion. What is that basically? What is the T-Fashion based on that?
So T-Fashion is an AI platform. So it's one of the companies that we've incubated in Beyond Form. And what this platform does, it's an AI platform to trend forecast what is going to work in the fashion industry, in the retail stores, up to 12 months in advance with 96% accuracy. So what we did with the students is, okay, so here are all the fashion catwalks that have just happened. So Paris, Milan, London, New York in February and in March time. Look at what's happening. We can see that these are the biggest trends. Use that as inspiration. How can you now use that information to analyze and understand, okay, what you can then do in your collections? And the students actually engaged with it and did it very well, actually.
It's fantastic.
So my NIF global students, you know, that they participate in the London Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, Dubai Fashion Week, as well as in LACMA Fashion Week. for the participation, okay, so they got selected from my institute, from the Gandhinagar, as well as for the Lakme Fashion Week as well as. So, do you have any like idea for the students, like what students needs to concentrate about for the future selection of the London Fashion Week? What is the future for the London Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, and if they participate in that, so is there any like easy way to process then that they got selected? Do you have any kind of idea?
Well, nothing comes easy,
I know,
Vishal.
I
You
know,
have to
I
work
know,
hard,
but
especially in fashion.
yeah,
But I think going back to one of your other questions, what I really appreciate about where we are now is that I was saying to Beatrice that there's a real sense of hustling and really working hard and bustling, basically.
Absolutely.
I think it's also understanding that whilst you've got all of these amazing outlets and fashion weeks around the world that are global, if I have to give a piece of advice to the students is when we started, there was no social media.
Absolutely. That makes a
And
difference.
this, you know, they're very lucky to actually have that as an outlet. So start from there, actually, first and foremost, because these companies are also watching the social media of upcoming and emerging designers. And what you'll probably find are that other outlets actually just as good as fashion weeks to really support their business development and brand development. If we're talking specifically though about what London Fashion Week is looking for, I think it's innovative and unique brands. London is very much known for its innovation and its quirkiness, etc. And every fashion week actually has a very different kind of trend or
What they stand for.
what they stand for, thank you. So I think it's also about understanding that and what do you bring to that market in order to be able to thrive.
so why am I asking you this question? Because we are the only one in the world that in the student life, student get the chance, not a chance, student get participated in the London Fashion Week, Dubai Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, and as well as Lakme Fashion Week. So we are the only one in India and as well as globe that in the student life, student get the chance to participate in that one fashion week in short.
Well, you're definitely doing an amazing thing for the students
Yes.
because to be able to have that platform at their disposal, because it's what UK universities also use to give the students the platform. It's just access to industry and potential partners that might see them as a business and a brand and want to invest or further support them. So that's a really great thing.
So what do you think about the sustainable future, about the future new trends, about the fashion?
So just as a stat, and we always like to use this at Beyond Form, there are 150 billion garments made in the world every year. Can you guess? And I
That's
asked
very
this question. I asked this question to the students in the workshop. Can you guess how many go unsold? Percentage. Can you guess?
I have no idea.
I
Can
didn't
you
copy that.
enlighten me on
Just
that?
in my mind.
I'm
so
very
I just
curious to
asked
know
you.
now.
So 30% of garments are never sold every year. So that's around 50 billion garments. That's a huge number.
That's a huge number.
It's a big problem for the fashion industry. So yes, it's very important, actually. So going back to what we do at Beyond Form, technology can be one of the ways to solve that problem. So for example, with AIT Fashion, making only what you need, making what you know is going to sell will help to reduce that waste. But from the designers that you're teaching at NIF Global, is to really understand what are the implications and impact of what they want to put out into the world and do that with mindfulness.
Absolutely.
So whatever the wastage, I just cut you off there. Please, you can answer.
I guess
that,
maybe
please.
I just wanted to add a very small thing, not that I need to, but as a designer, I'm faced with these questions all the time as well, because I think we can look at it from a fast fashion global scale, those who are actually mass producing a lot. What does that mean actually for young, independent or emerging designers? And I think it's designing with intentionality. And this is why it's also very important to actually build a community, because you know who you're serving and how much you need. But I think it's also why, for me, it's very important to develop craftsmanship and artisanal heritage products, because fast fashion, in actual fact, is not able to do that.
Absolutely.
So whatever the waste, as you mentioned about the 30% of waste. So do you have any global process, whatever the recycle? So we can collect and we can just produce the new garment. Do you have any kind of like no, just to know students for that?
Yeah, so the end of life is also, so end of life of the garment, so once you've worn it and finished using it, what happens with that is such a big problem. So we look at rental, repair and resale, what we call re-commerce. So what I would encourage the students to think about is that what do you want to happen when your product is done with? Is it easy to recycle? Is it easy to dismantle? Or do you want it to be sold, for example, on a resale website? And the resale industry is booming. It's increasing year on year. And for fashion students, maybe it's about thinking, okay, your designs, it's not linear, but it's circular. And how can you have that in mind when you're bringing products to the world?
Now I have a fun question for you guys.
Okay.
So if you guys had to describe Gujarat in just one word, both of you, what would it be?
Culture.
Oh, I was going to take that word.
Sorry.
I would say colourful.
Colorful, very nice.
That's why we are using the vibrant Gujarat.
Vibrant Gujarat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect word. Also, would you guys like to collaborate with any Indian designers in the future, if you get a chance?
I think this is Beatrice's bag.
I think if we get the chance, for
Yeah.
sure. So Vishal has been really amazing in bringing artisans to NIF as well, not just for me to see, but also for the students to, I think, recenter that opportunity of what's available locally. And I love what they do, and it's something that I would definitely be interested in working with.
And any cultural element that inspired you guys, like in India, any cultural element?
So we had a printmaker come. I don't know if it's a specific name for the
And,
print.
which I just gifted you
Yes,
yesterday.
yes.
It's called Mata Ni Pachadi. It's called Mata Ni Pachadi. It's a very
Beautiful.
beautiful
Yeah,
trending.
yeah.
And yesterday, artisan shows that there is a one painting. It's like a 700 years old. So fabric is not faded, and even colors are not faded till now. So our Prime Minister Narendra Modi sir, it's like that. So he gifted someone, and the color is like same as 300 years before, 700 years
It's
before.
hasn't
amazing.
faded.
It hasn't faded.
Yeah.
But apart from that, which is obviously sustainable and something that can be passed on, each print has a story.
To tell.
And I love that.
Yeah. Peter, so I'd like to ask you quickly about your experience with NIF Global Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad.
Absolutely. So for me, coming to NIF Global and working with the students has been refresher, because at Beyond Form, since we normally work with technology companies, it's been nice to work with fashion product again, and fashion designers that really want to bring their products to life. What's been really amazing for me to see is that in 3.5 days, they've been able to bring a fashion brand, a concept, a theme, and a product all to life in teams that, on the day they found out the team was theirs, and then just make it work and collaborative. From an NIF Global hosting perspective, they have been such gracious hosts to myself and Beatrice, and working with the students has just been coming pleasantly to us.
All right, thank you. And Beatrice, I wanted to ask you, how was your experience with the NIF Global Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad?
So my experience working with NIF, I'm an educator, so it was really lovely to come to a different culture. I learned so much myself from the students, and to see their tenacity, humility as well in wanting to learn and put themselves in a situation that some would find extremely challenging and come up with some phenomenal outputs, I think for me was encouraging. And I will go back home remembering this experience and really looking forward to seeing what NIF and its students will continue to do and develop years to come.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so I have some fun, quick, rapid fire questions for both of you guys.
Okay.
And we'll start with you, ladies first.
Okay.
So, Fashion Week or street style?
Street style.
What about you? Fashion Week or street style?
Fashion Week.
All right. Black or bold colors?
Bold colors.
All right. And what about you?
Bold colours always.
And, sketching or digital designing?
Both.
Both.
Digital for me. I have to stay true to beyond form.
London or Milan? I know your answer though.
London.
London.
Comfort or style?
Style.
Style.
Traditional or contemporary?
Both.
Both.
Oh, really? I'm contemporary.
Contemporary style. Indian textiles or Western silhouettes?
Indian textiles, of course.
What she said, Indian textiles.
And very cliche, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea.
Tea always.
Have you guys tried chai here?
Yes, we
I
love it.
chai.
You love the chai? I knew it. Okay, so one last piece of advice for all the students who want to enter the fashion industry. One piece of advice.
Oh, one piece of advice. You can
Yes.
start, Peter.
So my advice would be is to go into this with an open mind. An open heart. That's also very important. And just an open to everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
My advice would be don't be afraid to listen to feedback. But in listening, also know your own worth and how you can take that feedback to be constructive to support you in your development.
All right. And why do you think it's important for the students to focus on global learning?
I think it goes back to what we said earlier.
Yeah.
It's about how do you have a global perspective and then understand how you can apply it to the industry to make a real impact.
All right.
Absolutely. I don't feel like I have anything else to add to that because
All right.
I think it's just really important from
It's
a cultural
important for the
perspective.
students too.
Yes.
Yeah. And how important is it for the right institute to shape the student's career?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
My own perspective and point of view, and what I always tell new recruits or students, you shouldn't really be looking at the institute to build you up. What makes the institute are the students.
The students.
Right?
Absolutely. Very well said.
Exactly. I don't think I have anything else to say to
Yes,
that.
exactly. It's not Vishal's responsibility.
Responsibility.
It's the student's
It's the student.
responsibility.
The institute provides the resources.
Yeah.
It's the students then that can really help.
All right. Do you have anything to add on or ask?
I don't think so because they are the pioneer. I can just say that students nowadays, I'm just telling about the Indian students that they have to create their thing by their own. They are not depend. They are always depending about the faculties and parents. They have to create yourself there by own.
Yeah. And from your guys' perspective, how do you see Vishal sir's vision for the NIF Global Gandhinagar Ahmedabad Institute?
I think he's very ambitious.
What about you?
Thank you.
Peter mentioned something earlier, which I wholeheartedly agree in. I think it's in the air of the Gujaratis here. And that's that everyone hustles, but everyone wants to do something and build on it. And so I think for me, in seeing in Vishal, sir,
Yeah, you don't need to mention Vishal. So, yeah, you can just say Vishal.
is that he has a passion to develop and to grow. And the fact that he's brought myself and Peter from different parts of the world for 4 days, I think already shows where he wants to go.
Yeah, and can you elaborate your overall experience working with Vishal sir?
So it has been an experience, is all I can say. Intense 4 days, but I think in a positive way. Because again, Beatrice and I didn't really understand actually why we understand, of course, why we were here, but what to expect with NIF Global, the students, the faculty. And as I said earlier, it has been a pleasant surprise.
It has been.
Yeah.
I feel like we're consistently learning in society day in day. And what I appreciate, even with my colleague Peter, is that we can just get up and trust the process.
Yeah.
And what Vishal's been saying to us is, don't worry, like the day will sort itself out.
Yeah.
And I think we appreciate that kind of learning from him, is that he's always just about, let's just do it. And we'll figure out the rest.
Absolutely. And I was intrigued to ask one question, that how did you and Peter meet?
So we both went to London College of Fashion.
Okay.
We were both hustlers and I think really wanting to do something different.
Yeah.
And our friendship just continued and grew.
Yeah. Even though you guys were like sometimes miles apart, you guys were always
Yes.
I think what's been really beautiful is that, you know, we were together as students, we won awards together or had great opportunities together. And then there was time where we separated to do our own thing, we've always just been friends. And I know even though he's in a different part of the world, he's doing what he needs to do. And just as life happens, a new opportunity arose. I called him, he called me, and here we are.
Exactly. And a random fact, we're actually born 2 days apart.
Yeah.
For life.
So you are friends forever.
Yes,
Exactly.
we are. Unfortunately. I'm joking.
So you have a brand, a knitwear brand.
Yes,
As he mentioned earlier.
Yes.
What's the name of it? It's Korleki.
It's called Korleki. You said it
Korleki.
right, so
Yes.
well done.
Yeah.
It means Queen of Eagles. It's my middle name actually, and it comes from my dad's tribe in Ghana called the Gadangbe.
Okay.
And you mentioned something which isn't wrong. I think when people see the work that I do, they liken it to a knitwear or crochet designer. I try not to say that specifically. It's just the fact that I've launched my product offering into that, but there's many further developments, etc., in the future that I hope Korleki can progress towards. So it's never just specific to knitwear.
Absolutely. And where do you see your brand in the next 20 years or 15 years, I would say?
Well, just as we were on a quick break, they were like, well, you know, the next Gucci, and I think I would be very happy with that.
Yes, but cooler than Gucci.
Cooler than Gucci.
Exactly.
And what about you, Peter? Where do you see yourself or your brand in the next 15 years?
So for Beyond Form, the next 15 years, you know, why we exist is because we want to bring innovation, support new startups or students that want to create their own business come to the world. So within 15 years, we'll have a global presence. Maybe we'll even make an incubator with NFI Global at some point. I don't know, just putting that idea there. But it's about how do we keep growing and supporting these founders and eventually having a portfolio of startups from around the world that are just going successfully every day.
Very well said. Vishal,
So as a fashion designer, everyone, like a student, as a faculty, as a designer, do they need to keep updated every day, or is just one trend is going on like since like 50, 100 years?
No,
and
they need
are
to
just revamping their fortunes, in short?
They should be on the pulse because fashion is all about newness. It's about freshness. So even if you're not in design, even if you're just working in fashion in general, you need to understand what is the pulse of fashion, but also the global context, the wider context of what's happening in the world as well. And this is what we always encourage any type of person that wants to work in the fashion industry.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I think there's a nuance in understanding what it means to follow and to also understand global fashion. Just as Peter said, and as we talk about globalization, if you don't travel, you don't understand what's going on. If you don't follow trends, how do you then create products that people are going to love? It doesn't necessarily mean you need to adapt or make the same trends, but I think whatever we take in, our mind is a computer. Once you've developed a really good product offering, you know then how we say maneuver and really develop your brand so it is consistently modern and fresh.
So it's important, for example, if the students at NIF Global have the opportunity to go to London, to go to Paris, is to seize that opportunity because that is when you're going to be able to further your understanding of what the world is like.
Absolutely.
So what is your inspiration, like your company, for the inspiration? When do you think about this company, Beyond Form?
So Beyond Form came about because, as I mentioned earlier, we studied together as we established, and I trained as a fashion designer. I had my own fashion brand, but we remember that stat, that the 50 billion garments are unsold. The fashion industry has many problems with it. I won't talk about all the problems right now, but technology and innovation can help to solve a lot of those problems. So that's why the idea of Beyond Form came to life. And my hypothesis was that there's enough people in the world that want to do this type of work, innovation work, build their own business. And we proved that hypothesis very quickly within 12 months. And to date, we have now worked with over 250 startups around the world. Myself and Beatrice, we have seen over 2,000 people on our various programs around the world as well.
That's
so
fantastic.
that's exciting to see, and I think that number will keep on growing.
Absolutely.
So do you follow any kind of brand or company to inspire yourself?
I think I always say be aware, but never copy essentially what somebody is doing as a straight copy. Um, Companies that I look up to in the world, I think are the organizations like Y Combinator in the US, Techstars and eFounders and Entrepreneurs First, for example, are really good inspiration for myself.
So I have a question. So what's the one thing every fashion student must do to succeed in this industry? As you said, that don't copy, be inspired. But what's the one thing you'd like to say?
The one thing that I would like to say to students is, and we were discussing actually in the workshop,
Yeah.
is to have your own authentic tone of voice or your own brand voice that you want to present to the world.
Yeah.
I would agree to that. Maybe expanding and something that we teach in with the incubators is the USP or unique selling point. And I think sometimes when the students hear it, they hear a theoretical language and they don't quite understand what that means until you start developing a product and you put it out there and then you recognize, am I different?
Yeah.
Is it good enough in regards to the customer? Do they want it? And then you start to tweak it, etc.
Yeah.
So I think for me, yes, it's basically defining your unique selling point, but you won't know that until you actively start developing and selling it.
Yeah. And what's the biggest difference that you guys noticed about the fashion students in the UK and here in India?
Oh,
Tricky
That is a
question,
big-
I know.
That is a big question.
It's a big question. We were talking about this
Yeah.
before, and I think if we just have to make a comparison between maybe just how we've worked with NIF and NIF,
Yeah.
is that the students are just very receptive and willing.
Yeah.
And the way in which they listened, you can see then that is the output that they have. I think within the Western world in education, there's just so much
Yeah.
that the receptiveness of listening is probably not as much as what you would get here. But
In
I
India.
think it's also just a cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
From Asian culture as well as even in African culture, you tend to sit up and you listen to your elders and those who have
Elders, yeah.
experience. And I feel like that's what helps us progress and get further.
Yeah. And what do you have to say, Peter?
I have nothing to add to that, to be honest. But as I said earlier, I think the fact that the students loved their craft and were
Yeah.
willing to make stuff so quickly in 3.5 days was really interesting to see.
And what do you guys think makes a designer stand out in today's time?
Do you want to take that one?
But I think it goes back to what I said earlier. Designer is no longer just a designer.
Yeah.
You are an orchestrator. And always remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new question, but in a way it's also very similar to how we have responded, because it is just about the product offering and understanding your customer and the unique selling point. So this is really how designers stand out. Again, going back to the feedback I gave to one of the students today, showing me a product, to me, it might not look amazing, but to someone else, it's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And there's something that we have, a motto in Beyond Form that we teach is there's no such thing as bad design.
Bad design.
Because
Absolutely.
bad design is not someone saying I don't like it. Because I've seen a lot of what I consider bad design
designs.
and it sells.
Sells,
Right?
absolutely.
So I think for me, it's actually just understanding your market and what your unique positioning is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think just to extend there, competition is tough
Yes.
in the fashion industry.
Absolutely.
No matter where you are in the world, India, the UK or France,
France.
so many fashion students come out. So I would say always be hungry to learn.
Yes.
Always be
Yeah.
hungry. So that would be your biggest
Yes.
like tagline.
I
Always
think
be
so.
hungry to learn.
For sure.
So what do you think about that? Future is booming with the e-commerce, or still there are customers, they just want to visit the showroom and just purchase the product. So what is booming now, the e-commerce or a store visit?
So the e-commerce world is growing year on year, depending on where you are in the world. The percentage does vary, but if I'm talking from the perspective of the France and UK, it's around between 10 and 20% at the moment of the total revenue of sales taken on fashion. But for e-commerce, for students who are thinking, for example, to launch their collections or make
Yeah.
their own business, you cannot escape it. and you need to be able to understand how do you create your own digital presence and how do you speak to, as Beatrice said earlier, a community, whether that's through Instagram, through TikTok, or through any other digital platform or your own website. You need to understand how to do that. So it's a very important part of the fashion industry.
So Beatrice, do you, your brand, Korleki, is in e-commerce or is a store?
So
in the
actually,
UK?
it's both. Maybe just to abbreviate on what Peter is saying from a designer's perspective, is that, and I think a lot of students wish that they could go to a brick and mortar or like a physical store. But when you're thinking about why stores bring in new designers, it's no longer a case where they just want to fill up for stock. In actual fact, they're looking for designers that are going to bring in more customers to the store. So if you don't already have a customer base or a community, it can be very challenging. So to answer your question, mine is both, but I started, as Peter mentioned, e-commerce. It's cheap, it's cheerful, but it allowed me to grow my customer base. And then buyers started coming to me. I have not once actually gone to a buyer to say, can you stock my pieces? And so the fact that they're coming to me, it shows me that they're invested in my product and that they already have the customer to serve that would like to buy into my product.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Beatrice, Peter. It was lovely meeting you. I hope you guys had a good time with all of us. Vishal sir, if you have any further questions.
So I just said that like since in 4 days, I have learned a lot from your side as well as, and we had a very much laughed and enjoyed this trip. We are still two more days to go. So you have any special things like then in the future that inspired you to come to India?
I think this will be a trip that I would love to come back and do, particularly as I mentioned, working with artisans. But outside of me, especially having my own brand, I'm an educator, an academic at heart, and working with Peter's company at Beyond Form, he's given me the opportunity to really help expand the education division. So I'm the head of education there. So for sure, we would be looking forward to coming back and supporting the next generation of Indian designers.
Yeah, and India is just such a big country. I want to see more.
Exactly.
Yeah. You should plan a longer trip next time.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you, Beatrice
you.
and Peter.
Thank you very much.
To coming here. We had a pleasant time, and as well as I hope you will come back and learn more things about the students, and students will be happy in the future to come in here.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
See you guys soon.